Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Emias, and today I'm actually going to be reviewing Sinister Shadow Games. It's a normal trap card that for some reason is seeing quite a lot more played now than ever before. When Shaddolls were just announced, people were actually playing this, but then they stopped playing this. When Shaddol Invoked was a good deck in YCS Las Vegas, and during that format, people weren't really playing it, but all of a sudden they are playing it, but not really in a Shaddol deck. They're playing it especially in 60-card Eldritch decks that just play a lot of trap cards, basically. It's actually doing a lot of it's getting a lot of success. So why is this good all of a sudden? So I'm going to try my best to analyze this today. And before I start, friendly reminder to like and subscribe because it motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these. And yet, let's jump right into it. So for starters, it's a normal trap card, so you can Lilith and Trap Trick into it. And also, people have been experimenting with Fiend Griefing now. It allows you to send a Fiend monster when you actually use its effect, which is really good actually. It's a double utility. You shuffle back a card from your opponent's graveyard into the deck, and then you send a Fiend. So if you play like Farfa or Absolute King Backjack, which can excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, stack them in any order, and then during your opponent's turn you can banish it and check, the top card on the deck, you can excavate it. And if it is a normal trap card, you can set it and use it this turn, but if it isn't, you have to send it to the graveyard. It still synergizes well with Shaddol cards, because if you're sending something like Nail Shaddol Ariel, you can still banish 3 cards from your opponent's graveyard, but if you get something like Sinister Shadow Games, then you have the full utility of being able to, use the effect of any Shaddol in one shot. So that's really neat, and that's, I guess, the main reason why people are playing Sinister Shadow Games, because not only is it easily accessible, but also it allows you to access other Shadow cards and make your Shadow cards better. So you also gotta remember that Sinister Shadow Games' second effect is actually optional. It isn't mandatory. The only thing that you have to do is send at least one Shadow, send exactly one Shadow card from your deck to the graveyard. Shadow card, by the way, not necessarily Shadow monster, which is really good. It gives you a lot of possibilities. You can even technically send Shadow Rook or Shadow Schism, and then when your construct or whatever is sent to the graveyard, which is really easy when you play Nadir Servant and Dragma Punishment, you can recycle back any Shadow spell or trap from your graveyard to your hand. But yeah, if you, let's say, have a face down Squamata, that's really good board presence, because at any point during your opponent's turn, you can double interrupt your opponent by going Sinister Shadow Games, send a Nail, Shadow Ariel, banish up to 3 cards from either player's graveyard. Technically, you can also banish an Alistair from your graveyard in case you had an invocation in the grave. So next turn, you can actually shuffle back the invocation in the deck and recycle back your Alistair from the banished. And also, since, the second effect of Sinister Shadow Games, you flip up your Shadow Squamata or even Dragon, and then either destroy a monster they control or return back a card, I guess, a card or a monster, I forgot, but yeah, whatever, you return something with the Shadow Dragon, which is really cool. You can also do this with Hedgehog to search a monster, but people are especially playing Wendy, Beast, Squamata, and especially Nail Shadow Ariel, of course. But yeah, really being able to fuel your graveyard. And also, by the way, it's not once per turn, so if you draw a bunch of Sinister Shadow Games, you can use multiple effects in one turn. You can send a Beast, which draws you one card. That card could be a hand trap, we never know. You can send Wendy to, once again, float into another monster, and then if you have like a second one, you're going to send Ariel, flip your monster. You see where this is going. So just 2 Sinister Shadow Games gets you pretty much 2 interruptions, and a lot of cards in the graveyard, so your Shadow Schism is going to be able to summon multiple monsters pretty much, because your Squamata is basically one summon on its own. Wendy is also one summon on its own, which is really cool. Yeah, by the way, it's really easy to access Shadow Schism, like I said. And also, even if you send Cologne to the graveyard with Dragma Punishment, not being able to summon from the extra deck for like 2 turns, I guess the end of this turn and the next turn really isn't the end of the world, because most of the time when you're using Dragma Punishment, it's to interrupt your opponent during their turn. So you'll be able to get your recycle or your search. By the way, App Cologne triggering it during your opponent's turn is even cooler, because it searches any Shadow card, and then you have to send a Shadow card from your hand to the grave. So drawing Ariel is pretty much never a brick. As a matter of fact, I want to say drawing any Shadow is never really a brick, because App Cologne really gets you the most out of all of your cards. Squamata is pretty much any Shadow card. But yeah, you're summoning it from your extra deck during your opponent's next turn, so it's really not that bad. So yeah, in conclusion, it gives you a lot of stability because you start having monsters on the board. You have a lot of resourcefulness because the Shadow effects are honestly really good. They cover so much ground. Legit, there's a Foolish, there's, like I said, a Pop for monsters, there is a Bounce, there's technically an MST in the form of Dragon. I love the fact that every Shadow is basically 2 effects in one, which is really nice. Then Wendy pretty much has the same effect multiplied by 2. Nail Shadow Ariel is weird. The effect to, when it's sent to the grave, has absolutely nothing to do with the flip effect, which is, the flip effect is revive back a Shadow from your banished. Falco would be from your graveyard, and then Shadow Beast has an insane effect when you flip it from, like, when it was face down. You draw 2, you send 1 card. So you see where this is going. The effects are just really cool. So if your deck lacks a bit of resourcefulness or stability, then Sinister Shadow Games allows you to splash an engine that not only gives you that, but also gives you the ability to summon Winda. App Cologne, technically, which is a pretty good interruption during your opponent, for several reasons. You can negate a card they control, and also when it is sent to the graveyard, like I said, it is another form of interruption if you search Ariel to send it, and then they do trigger their effects because it is actually part of the effect when you send it to the graveyard. It's not a cost. Like if you go Twin Twister, discard a Shaddoll, it won't get its effect, but if you go App Cologne, search, and then send, it will get its effect. And I really want to put a lot of emphasis on the fact that Nailed Shaddoll Ariel banishing up to 3 cards is gigantic, and it really is up to 3. So if your opponent only has 2 cards in the grave, you can still legally activate the card. So it's really good against Eldritch if you banish their Conquistador, Hakuero, Black Awakening, White Fate before they get a chance to use its effect. It only really triggers during the end phase, but you can go, okay, end of main phase, Sinister Shadow Game, send Ariel, banish 3. That's gigantic. It's basically a soul release during your opponent's turn. It's really good against Virtual World because you can banish their King Long, which is not a quick effect. Shuch is a quick effect, so they can kind of get away with that. You can banish their Nyan Nyan, although it is a trigger effect, the Nyan Nyan, and Nail Shaddoll Ariel kind of happens, it would happen in a separate chain link, so it might not be as good. I'm pretty sure, turn player should be Nyan Nyan chain link 1, and then Ariel chain link 2, if they go activate an effect from hand, and then you go chain Sinister Shadow Games, so I think you should be fine there. I still have to review my things, honestly, but yeah, it's also good against dinosaurs. You can banish their Miscellaneous Zorus, a lot of things, honestly. You can make it so they don't have a non-dinosaur in their graveyard, so double evolution pill will be bait. And yeah, that's basically all there is to it. I guess it's just a really good card. Who can actually live without its graveyard, and who can live without not special summoning? So like I said, the utility with everything, the ability to actually summon dangerous monsters that recycle back your resources is always welcome in this game. Or I guess it is not if you're scared of it, but I like the Shaddoll cards a lot, and this is a reason why I really might make a Shaddoll combo deck profile and testing video very soon. So that's all I had to say for this Sinister Shadow Games analysis video. If you guys have any comments or feedback, let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these. That's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.